We are live with Araba. Hi, hi, hi. I met Araba first in Sacramento, by the way. So many Sacramentans in the house. Hi. Currently living in Fresno.
Oh,
But yeah, that's why you don't see me around there. Yeah, and so yeah, so it's always good to see her. She drops by every now and again. But Araba does not think of herself as a singer at all. Like, she doesn't think of herself in that way, but she is open and available to experience, to learn more about herself. Don't we all want to be more like that? It's like, I'm ready for new experiences all the time, even if they're scary. Yeah. So I love
not
that.
quite like that, but I like the way you said it. So we're going to stick with that story. And I know you from way back when in North Carolina, actually, Durham. And you sang.
Oh, Durham?
Yeah.
I
That's
just
how.
connected you with the church, but you know it's the same name. The church I sang in Sacramento is with the same name, the St. Stephen's, and it's also
Yeah. Oh,
Episcopalian.
so cool.
Yeah, so that's where I'm sorry, I got confused.
Oh, no worries.
So back in Durham, so any Durhamites out there. Yeah, when I was teaching at Arts Council, right? But I didn't see you over there. I saw you at the church, right?
At the church, yeah.
Okay, cool. Cool beans. Yeah. So maybe I can get another person signed up for the choir. Because you never know. Let's just leave ourselves open for possibility.
Open for possibilities. Okay, I like that.
Okay. So we're going to start as we always start with our breath outward. We're going to do it again. And this time we're just going to focus on a few other things as we consider it the kind of part of warming up and being available to our voices. Okay. So again, we're breathing all the way out. And then S's, just feeling those muscles helping us out. And see how it's easier every time. Like our breath gets a little bit more expansive, breathing in from the earth. And just letting it open us up and even move us a little bit, right? Let the body move how the breath wants us to move, breathing all the way out. Passes. Even if that needs a little movement, that's great. Breathing in. Relaxing the belly to breathe in. Okay. And then this breath out, when we breathe in, we're going to just have some awareness around our lower belly, below the belly button. So again, we don't want to be like, with the microscope, like, are you moving? Where are you moving? We just want to be kind of, I think I feel something. I think something's happening, right? So as we breathe out and when we breathe in, we're just going to notice below the belly button if we feel anything. Breathing all the way out. And S's. Breathing in below the belly button. Release. So notice something. How did that go?
Was good. I definitely felt like there was much more expansion and it's easier to breathe out because that's where I feel like I have a harder time.
Yeah. So that's good awareness. And have you had any breathing problems? Is there anything like a condition or anything like that, like asthma?
Yes, in the past I used to get bronchitis all the time, and I used to also it got bronchospasm. I also notice when I'm tired, my voice goes. I don't know what that's about, but maybe you do.
Yeah. So whenever we have a history and it it can be psychological, it can be emotional, it can be physical, right? And we overuse the word trauma, but not really, right? It's just, we don't want to make it bigger, but not smaller than it is, which is that you've had an experience that is not meant or expected, right? And so our body and our brains try to figure out a way to make sense of it, right? And then it tries to protect us from whatever is painful, right? So it might even tell you, oh, there's something wrong here. Don't look over here, right? So that's how we kind of let things progress past the point where, we could do something about it sometimes, right? And so with that experience, especially like having a hard time breathing or having to like not always being able to depend on the breath, right? Being wholly available, like any kind of sickness, anything that takes away something that usually would work naturally, right? Then it leaves a mark, right? So what we want to do is just acknowledge it, right? It's like, yeah, I had that experience. And I don't want to have that experience again. But
Well, I'm so glad you said like physically all of those things, because I was just thinking about my airway and not necessarily my full body, because I had a back injury 13 years ago, and since then I've lived with chronic pain. So I am 8 surgeries later. I'm still living with chronic pain, but I have come back really from being almost bedridden. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. Like that you are, again, you're having new experiences. Again, pain tends to shut us down. It makes us not want to exacerbate it. So new could be exacerbated. You don't know yet, right? So that you're open again to seeing what else is possible. Again, this just means that you're still open to have full healing, right?
Right.
And that's beautiful. That is awesome. So love it so much. So that is another thing you want to be aware. A lot of times in order to function, we are shutting down our pain sources, right? So I know you know this, like, so like if you hurt your ankle, like you'll try to walk with the other leg heavier, and then it sends the body into an imbalance spin, right? And so what we want is just to acknowledge that it is pain, like we're not stopping because of it, but we know it's there, right? And so with that, we're going to breathe out. There's pain, but it doesn't have to get in the way. Breathing in from the earth. And S's, we're going to breathe all the way out, and S's. Good. And this time when we breathe in, just notice what moves. Notice if it makes anything else move, right? And then anything that we don't want, right? So if any tension happens as a result, any pain happens as a result, we're going to breathe that out on the next breath. Breathing all the way out. Movement, just noticing. I will now start to notice that sometimes it doesn't always feel good, and it might pull in certain places, right? And so what that allows is that, okay, well, I know that it pulls, but I know if I'm fully breathing, if we're fully breathing, we're fully whole, right? If we're fully breathing, then it's gonna have to move, right? What that allows is the body to bring awareness and energy to it, and we can get some energy movement there that might help as well. Okay, so we all know kind of our standard way of being, like what's kind of what works for us, what doesn't. If we get past the point where it feels like it might be too harmful or to this effect, then just let me know. Don't let me go further than you're comfortable, right? But I do want us to play with the edges here a little bit.
Absolutely.
Okay, so breathing all the way out, releasing whatever is heavy or painful or any of that tension that may be even connected to that. And breathing back into the lower belly. That's why pain is cascading, because it's going to cause that, and then it's going to tend to things that could cause that, and it's going to, right, and then back up the other things that are caused, behind the tension. So that's why we want to like at least know where the edges are. So if we're encroaching upon them, we can do something else to support ourselves. Breathing into the lower belly. Good. And then if you're feeling anything else that actually now wants a little bit more movement, it's a good time to do something that's supportive as a movement. So whatever stretches are supportive, and obviously know your body. So what's comfortable for you. Just notice what wants a little bit more movement, and we'll do that movement and breathe out. And S's. Into a little belly and back to center, and then another one. Let's find another way. Another one's more space. And breathing back into lower belly, coming to center. Yes, beautiful. Good. So yeah, now we got some movement going, and it's like feeling a little freer, right? And so we really want the body to feel like it can move for however it wants, yeah. And we don't know how much we like sit in stillness by sitting down all the time is part of that problem. And then like, again, like whatever tensions come up while we're working, whatever, like whatever is the habit of the body as well. So we're like, oh, that is going on. I remember now. So a lot of times when I do breath outward for a few minutes, what I get from people is like, oh, I think I need a nap, right? Like right? Like, because we often are pushing past what's we really need to take a break, right? And so, and it's fine because now we know, and actually now that we have an awareness of that, our bodies can access what's available for now, right? So we know we're going to run out of energy. That's kind of a misconception. Like we don't have backup. Yeah, we have plenty of backup. That's how we run ourselves into the ground. But we also want that awareness. Oh, am I overdoing it? Maybe I'll take a 5-minute break and get some tea, or however that makes sense for you, right? But a 5-minute break of breathing will change your life. Like those quick breaks let you get to the end of the day without feeling ragged. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. I notice it when I'm not breathing deeply.
Mm-hmm.
I'm breathing shallowly. There's a lot more tension, and for me, it's the shoulders going up, kind of a thing that I'm like, oh, okay, bring them down.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, a lot of people don't even know that their shoulders go up. So again, this great awareness. And it also means that we don't feel like we know we need more space, but we don't feel like we can go downward, right? So one of the reasons I do the breath out to the earth is because the earth is below us and it's holding us up, and we can relax, right? Like we can let the earth hold us. We don't have to hold ourselves up, which is kind of what happens when, right? Now I got to hold myself up and breathe at the same time. And so that's why the shoulders go up, right? The body rests on the chair rests on the floor rests on the earth, right? Down into the earth. And then we're just going to notice, are we feeling anything at the vocal cords? Are we getting any kind of little pulling or a little warmth, or how's it feeling right here between the shoulder, the clavicle, I'm sorry. Blades, but
I'd say it's feeling not numb, but just sort of it's not painful. It's almost, it's neutral there. You notice that it's just neutral. I can't say it's warm, I guess it's tight, but I'm aware of that I live in tension, in a level of tension that most people don't. And so whenever I can get to this level of relaxation, that feels good to me.
So beautiful. Okay. So now we're gonna just move around some things. So I do a little differently for everybody, but because of that threshold, right, where we kind of desensitize to like kind of focus on other things, um, it's probably higher than our sensitization that we get from this area of the body, right? So it just means that we may not get that full experience until we've calmed a little bit else of the stuff down, right?
Right.
So let's just do some humming. So just an ah, like you can just say ah at the vocal cord. We always need a vowel, even when our mouths are closed, right? So we're gonna make an ah at the vocal cord and then close to M. Mm. Just breathing back in from the earth. Let that energy come with it. Mm. Just breathing back in from the earth, and I'm finished with that one. And this is a way to kind of just notice the vibrations on the body. So what often happens is that we are just kind of talking to get things. We're talking to get things. We're talking to connect to get the result of the connection. We're talking to speak so we can let our feelings know. So the goals are always kind of other. Right now we're turning that energy back to ourselves. Instead of our voices being for other things, other connections, other results, right? It's for ourselves, right? So all of that lovely resonance that we're throwing at people all the time, we're going to center right back to the body by staying at M. Really neutral, really calm in the face. But here, say a nice big ah for me, just spoken. Well, let's do this. Let's say ah like you're telling a baby how to say A, right? Ah, ah, ah. There you go. Yeah. You feel the belly move?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it till you brought it to my attention.
Yeah. And when we're speaking naturally, most of the time the belly is going to move, right? Most of the time. We carry tension and maybe a little less, but it's going to do something, you know? But yeah, but what we want, now that we have some movement going, it should do a pretty decent movement. And when we are saying ah at the vocal cord, even if we're close to M, we're going to do it with the same amount of movement.
And I was thinking,
Yeah. Good. Yeah. So we're just gonna, same way we did breath out in the beginning, we're doing that with okay? Missing all the air. Beautiful. Again, when you're ready. Yeah. You see how it's trying to get other places in the body? Yeah, good. So, okay. Good. Yeah. So what is available to us, and this is something from my own kind of experience, was I've noticed is that is the wholeness of the rest of our body. So now that we brought awareness and vibration in, we can actually feel into places that aren't hurt. Okay. So let's see where else the vibration is going. We're going to breathe all the way out. We're going to breathe in and see if you can find anything vibrating or warming up.
I noticed it in my arms and my hands a little bit.
Nice. Isn't that fun? So now that we get those sensations, we can keep feeding them. So what's happening is that they're getting more energy and they can actually reflect back to what wants to be healed, right? So it's this just pain is the lack of flow, right? So there's something that disrupted it and it was physical and then it started and then it stopped flowing and it caused the other thing to back up like we were talking about. And then you had to keep fixing this and then you had to fix this and then fix this, right? But you know, when we find kind of the natural flow, it'll find a way through, right?
Okay, that energy.
And then we can do other things to support that, including surgery. Like I'm not saying no, nothing Western medicine. I'm just saying that that plus our awareness can do wonders.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So now that we're understanding that, now we're going to find those edges again.
Okay.
All right. See where that one that's like, ooh, just enlivening and yummy meets the one that's like a little resistant. It's a little like, what the are you doing up here? Right? So let's just breathe it out, breathe in, another sigh. Feel that? So it immediately interrupts the voice, right? Because it's like, I don't know. I don't know about that. Right?
Well, I'm trying to give resistance a little bit. Like I'm starting and then
I like it. So we got a brave one. Yeah. So, and this is honestly, like, I mean, of course, your trauma is way bigger than mine, but this is how I align my back after an accident. This is why I believe in voice healing, even though I didn't really know what I was doing at the time. Which is my back kept going out after an accident, and I was like, it was happening like sporadically, and then it happened like less than a week after the last one, which is already pretty intense.
right.
I was like, oh no, it's going downhill, right? Like I was starting to worry. So in order to calm myself down, I started singing to myself.
Oh.
So I already understood, like, right, it was emotional support for myself, right? And that also that more tension was going to help my back going out, right? So if I'm worrying and causing extra tension, so I was like, well, at least I can stay calm, right? I don't have to feed into that, right? And then I noticed I could feel it. The vibrations were also vibrating my back where it was hurting. And I was like, that, yeah, it hurts, but not bad. Like it wasn't bad, right? And then I was like, okay, well, what if I sigh around here? And then some was a little more than others. And then I went to other sounds. So we're going to do a few more sounds, but I just want you to play with that idea of that story. Like just see, okay, oh, I see how it's vibrating in this area around this when I make this sound in my voice, right? So we're going to do more sighs. So from the earth, getting that new energy. Just notice, how does it vibrate in there?
I feel like my whole upper body is very much so engaged, like shoulders to my fingertips and even in my like abdomen, like it's all being engaged as I'm sighing. I can feel it through there. I wouldn't say I could specifically feel it in a part of my back, but it just feels like the whole my whole sort of upper body is kind of floating in
Love it.
calm and peace. So
Very good. Ooh, let's connect through. So we're going to this time. I want you to think like sighing through the sit bones into the floor. So like almost just a straight line down. Sit bones to floor to earth. Yeah. Cool. What just happened? Something shifted.
Did you see a shift?
I feel it.
Okay. Yeah, you're clairsentient, huh? Yeah, I just like, I don't know, there was kind of like my body wanted to move this way and a little bit there. And I don't know if it's realigning, but it just, I don't know. It feels like it wants to, there's definitely more energy. There's more energy flowing for sure. I can feel that. I'm usually crashing about this time of the night. And my medicines have worn off and so this feels like, I don't know, it feels pretty cool and not like the pain is sucking. It's like sucking me dry. It feels like I'm just floating. Like I'm here in my body. There's a flexibility to it, not needing to hold my body really stiffly or like protect it. And I feel like it could sit up, more straight, because that's been an issue lately, is noticing the bending forward to compensate for pain. So I just feel like I am getting taller.
I love it. I love it. And we're gonna do a few more of those. Like, so what I'm doing here is I'm bringing the awareness back into the sit bones, because there are other ways for our body to hold us up, right? And what happens when we have pain is we focus on like the inability for this area to do the thing, and then we lose access to the other supports in our body, right? So if we let all of it assist, then nothing has to take most of the weight.
Sense.
Yeah. So as you breathe out, thinking through the whole of the body into the earth, front and back of the body, which is bringing more all around. I call it 360 in every direction. Breathing back into the lower belly. That spaciousness lets other things have more space. So whenever you feel like this kind of crunching tension, like this is a great one. Just bring our awareness out even wider than the body. Right. 360 in every direction, breathing all the way out. S's, breathing into the lower belly from the earth. The space. Good. So now we're going to do some different vowels. So go, ooh, ah, ooh, ah. So remember, just like as if we were saying it, that's just the breath doing weird things to it. We don't really care what the notes are or anything. We're just making sounds. Ooh, ah. Okay. And wherever in a sigh that we feel like it's just like, I don't know what happened there. Right? It's a place where we can build connection. So what I do is that, if we do like a more focus is what we would kind of find where that note is. And then we would kind of do sighs in and out of it, right? In different expressions. So my poo, for those who are following my sessions, poo is the expansive version. But I want the body to have some more spaciousness and relax before I go into kind of a more pressurized movement, right? So right now we're just doing ooh-ah to open the spaciousness and to get a little bit of that feeling of ooh in there. Ooh. Yeah. So now we're getting some cohesiveness, and this happens to everybody. Once that happens, like the sound starts cutting out of the microphone because it thinks it's an echo. So let's turn on your original sound. Do you have the audio settings on your computer right where your microphone is?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you open it up, they'll say original sound for musicians, and you just want to click that.
Okay.
And then when you come back to where our faces are, there's going to be on the top left hand, it's going to say original sound for musicians. When you hover,
Yes. It says off though.
click it on.
Click it on. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we
Yeah. Now we get to hear each other's background.
There
But
we go.
it'll help me be able to track the voice. So same thing, finishing that breath outward. And that spaciousness as we breathe in.
Ooh.
And so right where it's just kind of like going to breath. Actually, the body is so smart. Like it does what it needs. That's actually another version of one of the exercises I use to kind of take tension and pain and trauma out of the body, which is kind of just this airy subvocal sound. So it's like,
Okay.
yeah.
Ooh.
So right there at the edge, and the body's going to take what it needs. Pushing to the earth, releasing whatever you don't need, bringing back into our belly with the extra energy.
Ooh.
What's so fun is that our bodies are built this way, right? Like the intelligence that built the whole of the world, right? So God for most, right, is always accessible and it's infinite.
Right.
Right. So whenever we feel like we're running out, we've just kind of closed off access, right? You might know, oh, I could use a sleep or I can use a break, but it's not necessarily like I'm gonna fall over any second. I think I'm at the end of my tether, right? Like I will. I'm not
I've been
going to
there
make it
though,
through this
but
meal,
yes.
right? And who hasn't, right? Like we have all been like, if this lady says one more word. So, but that's the same feeling of that running out of like I don't have the resources to deal with this right now. Like
Oh, absolutely.
and that's when we tend to lash out and just like stop it, right? But we do and we just have to remember and then oh yeah, let me get connected. And this is how our bodies are built in batteries. Like the earth was born and made to support us. Literally everything is available that we need. Okay? Our batteries and antennas, we got all the things, folks. Right, we can source it, we can what do they call it when you bring things out of the ground?
Grow it, harvest it,
Harvest
it.
Yeah, and it's infinite, right? Like even with all our expressed trauma upon the planet, like it's still giving us food, right? We
Absolutely.
it's like just beautiful amounts of resource, and we're blessed by it. So we can tap into that and our emotions and our energy too. We're gonna do ooh ah ooh. Just see what happens. Ooh ah ooh.
Ooh, ah, ooh.
So good. Isn't that interesting? So the voice is that beat that's happening is like again where it's recognizing edges. So we don't want to stop that. Okay, let it do whatever it's gonna do. It knows better than we do. Okay.
This is sorry, go ahead.
Interesting. So it's so fun because we always just do things like that we don't want them to do when we are trying to keep it from doing it.
Right.
And then as soon as we stop thinking about it,
Yeah.
like there's all these new sounds that happen. It's just like, oh, I didn't know I made that sound. Right? But this is how we get to find them, right? Instead of making them and thinking we can make them, because that's all futile. We can see what it does. When our bodies are doing this, the sound is doing this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the way to inform yourself how the body makes different notes. So what happened is a pretty broad spectrum of notes. And so you're like, oh, I didn't mean to do that, but it did do it. So I must be able to do it again, right? Whenever we think we can't do a note, it's because we think we're supposed to know how, and we just don't. Right? So what we want to do is see what the body wants to do, because it'll reflect sounds to you, just the way we reflect energy. If somebody talks to us with a terse academic tone, we're probably going to clean it up a little, right? Like, so it's the same body reaction. We're just aware of our environment and what, how we are beingness in it, right? How are we being in that environment? So breathing all the way out. Let's see what else it wants to do. Woo! Yeah. Now we're gonna do some massage. Let's see what it was. No, just see what happens. Don't do anything different. Yeah, so just noticing. No. And already we've come up a little bit. So now our awareness is more towards the belly. Belly is not up the throat, which is good. But we want to bring it back into the earth, through the sit bones, into the earth. There you go. That vibration speak to you. That belly roll right along with it. Whatever gets tight, just release, right? So again, that tension habit may sneak in other ways, but we don't have to let it stop us, right? So just open up to the space that is available. So it's the same thing we were doing in our area and awareness of the body and the outside of the body. Same thing we're doing here. Yeah, the vocal cords are moving, but there's also what's around them. And we need lots and lots of ahs. Ahs is what I'm trying to say. So we need lots and lots of vowels because they go so fast because we speak fast, right? So we have to match it to what our body's used to. We're doing a different sound now. Notice even the vibration is stronger. So it's another way. If you feel like our bodies want a lot of support, sometimes a nice strong with the big lots and lots of ahs. Yeah. You feel how that lower sound is like asking the body to open up a bit. It's just like, oh yeah, that's right. You feel it?
Is that what it's saying?
That's just like, I was like, I think of it as like the, you take down this, take out or undo the second button right after a big meal.
After a big meal.
Yeah, just like it wants to, like I'm dough. I always think of like a dough expanding. So when we get into these lower registers, they need even more space. They're like greedy with the space. Oh, so find that extra space through the sit bones into the earth. Feels good, yeah? We want to hang out around here. Your voice isn't low, like a voice teacher is probably flagging me in a corner over somewhere, but but your body needs it.
Gotcha. So try to allow it if it wants to go lower. Because I feel
Yeah.
like I actually talk in a low register now, which is unusual. I was always more on the soprano side, but now I feel like as I've gotten older, and of course, the trauma, years of
Yeah.
it, it's been 13 years now. So I
All
do.
of that plays a role. It really does. So as we mature, um, the voice, vocal cords get a little thicker, and then the voice box, what holds it together, gets harder. It's more bone-like than it was when we were younger. So there's
Got
less
it.
flexibility. So it's a little stronger, a little more depth to it, to the sound that's produced by it. Um, so that's a natural thing,
Okay.
but the heaviness is definitely more of the pain. And then the body needing it.
Okay.
Okay, so the body's like, well, if she's not going to do it by singing, then we got to just make her talk down here so that at least that we get it when she's talking, right?
Okay.
So like the more you do it, the more the body will be enlivened, and it'll be, especially not after a long day, it's gonna feel like a lot more breath and availability in the upper registers, and not feel like you're kind of always having to produce, right? But the one of the ways we get there is by feeling fully supported in this register. Okay. So as we go, we want to really notice all that expansion as much as possible through the sit bones, through the floor, and what else is available. Like, right. So we're I think that, most of what we've been talking about, how much is available to support the body, right? And this one we're gonna do, yeah, I just go back to breath. So going back to breath looks like not saying the vowel anymore. Sometimes we're like, how do I stop it? Oh, we just stop saying the vowel. Yeah, we'll go
Okay.
back to breath. We don't want to stop the breath because then that's when the scary stuff happens. We want we want to finish the breath and
Okay.
get back to it. Yeah. So when we do it, this time mostly M's. Feel that vibration feeding back to us. So you feel it disappear?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Once more space in the back side of the body.
Is that
That's where the support is, y'all. Even more exaggerated. Slider, slider. Yeah, I just got distracted because you weren't sure which one it was.
okay.
Let's do the M's first. Sliding,
Okay.
sliding.
Okay. It's like a sigh, but with an M.
Exactly. Yeah. You feel that? My body's like, oh, you got more space. I'll go over here. right? So there's a lot of spaciousness. Even for high voices, y'all, you can only speak and sing as high as you can speak in low.
Oh,
And that's just the
interesting.
truth. So our highest singers have low notes. Our lowest singers have high notes. It's just a matter of like, what have we been conditioned to believe and how are we getting there? Are we allowing it to get there, or are we contriving and then can no longer contrive, right? Um, so whenever we think that, oh, I don't know if I can hit that note. Yeah, you can hit the note. Are you allowing your body to do the movement that allows you to get to the note? That's a different question. Like maybe not. Let's find out is the answer. But you can't find out and you can't uh, know what's happening unless you're present. And what I see a lot of times is people like driving people into frenzies as they're singing, and then something happens that's wondrous and they try to recreate it and they have no idea, right? And that's the complete opposite of what I want. I want you to know exactly what's happening to the availability of our awareness, right? And there's always some level. The body's going to do a movement is the first level of awareness. The kind of the warmth and the what else it wants to do is another level of awareness, right?
Mhm.
So let's do a couple more of these. And then the belly super relaxed.
Mom.
Yeah. We'll open up on this one. So, no.
Mom. I felt like I cut my breath at that instead of letting it all just
I'll
flow.
hang out.
Yeah. That time I felt a difference.
Yeah. So you notice that, like, whenever we do that, the body's like, and
Yeah.
then,
Absolutely.
yeah. And that's kind of the
It's the
good part
feedback.
of having another level of awareness, right? Because you're recognizing, oh, that was abrupt. Don't want to
Right.
do that again, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so yeah, it's the stretchiness that allows it to be easy. It's actually just finding more resource so that we aren't putting all the stress on one part of the body to release the sound, which the more sound you have, the more that has to be released. So for my big voices out there, remember that.
Mom.
Yeah, we're gonna keep going. Oh, back to the. Did you hear it? I
I'm
know
not sure. I feel like it cut out a little bit. So.
it did. Yeah, I was trying to avoid my fan noise, but.
Oh, beautiful.
Nice. You feel that vibration feeding back to you now, even from the outside? You may
Yeah,
not feel it yet. Do you?
I feel like, yeah, I feel it. It's gonna sound weird, but I feel it like where I'm sitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is interesting. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? And so much is going on kind of outside the body. It's still our body, but it's and so the more that when we can feel like the vibrations allow us to feel it. It brings our awareness to that level where we can kind of feel the vibration in the space and we can feel it in the body, right? That's what hearing is, by the way. But we make it weird because there's nothing there to feel, you know? I don't know. But like, um, but yeah, so it's really just letting the sensations happen.
Mom.
Yeah, even more vowels.
Mom.
So that's a low G on a keyboard. What I want you to actually do, as like, if you're into any kind of sound therapy,
Mhm.
is just find maybe some om, like some om, like
Um,
chants
okay.
on YouTube, um, and what you want to do is just find something they have them. Like they'll be like tuned to a G or I don't know what the actual hertz number is, but they have them,
Hmm.
right? So just find the one that says G,
Okay.
and then what you want to do is breathe out, listening, breathe in, listening, sigh out. Don't go straight to the note. Just let it sigh above and below it. Okay? And so that will really start opening up that space a bit more. Okay? And then if you feel like, because it is low for you vocally, so if you feel like the voice is tiring at all, just kind of float above it. Like so, ma, 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 just find some other sounds. But this is really I can feel like the body kind of needing a lot of this in this area, and it's going to be super supportive. You can already feel it, right? Like the body, you already had a good amount of energy going, but this is almost revitalizing. Like maybe you could go another round type of feeling, right?
Yeah, I'm surprised that my voice isn't like completely gone by now. Tired because it
Yeah,
was
because you're tired.
fatiguing. Um, so,
Yeah. So yeah, and so
so you
let
were
the
saying like
voice.
float above it? Mm,
So,
mm,
well, when you're doing it with the recording, you're going to be in that range, right? Or, but like if you're still having the recording going, letting that kind of feed to you, but you're just going to do other sounds, then
oh,
you just kind of a little higher is another way of saying it, right?
gotcha.
Um, so yeah, that should that should help, and and yeah. So and this is available. So like what I most want people to know is that this is available. Like that 5 minutes of breathing and a little bit of voicing, you may not have to lose your voice at the end of the day. Our
Cool.
voices are like the first things to tell us when we're tired, when we're getting sick, when
Yep.
we're overpained, overtensed. And so let it inform us into what is also available, what we can also do to support it. And yeah, give yourself little breath and voice breaks throughout the day so that you're not piling that up for the end of the evening and then have to deal with it. Right?
That makes sense. There are days that it's really long and on Zoom for many hours. So I have to be cognizant of getting up and moving because my body doesn't like to be still, fully still. And I know we're never really fully still. We're always moving, but consciously moving, it's like wanting to just move. So I try to honor that. I have a sit to stand desk that
Oh,
I
good.
that I use. So that's helpful when I'm doing long things. It just doesn't have like my pretty altar and
I
everything with it.
know, which is
So
just
I,
beautifully reflecting.
so
Yes.
I also I like to sit here when I'm doing things that are recorded and just it makes me feel good too because I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do it. Like I was like, oh, I'm hoarse already. Let me hydrate. Let me do all these things. So I I what I am taking away most is this idea that I don't have energy available to me. Like I often feel like I'm exhausted or I can't do this. I don't have enough energy. And that's one of the things that I pray about. And what I've learned just in our time together is that I can access, there's spaciousness within me that I can access. with breathing and vocalizing.
Yeah, yeah. And that it's available, I think. I think it's hard for a lot of people who may also just tend to lose a lot of energy in environments where most people are gaining energy. Not most people, but a lot of people, especially in the US, I don't know. But like, but even those, they're like, they think they're extroverts, but anyways, so but yeah, so if, especially for introverts, especially for empaths, especially for people who have had any history of conditions, so anything that you've had to get treatment for, or anything like that, all of that becomes this idea that it's just how I am, right? I don't have energy. I don't have a lot of energy. That's why I very, like, I used to have this story about myself where I would say I don't have a lot of energy, so that's why I'm stingy with it. That's why I don't give my energy away for just random things, right?
Right.
Um, and a lot of it was protective because I did need it because I didn't know how to manage my energy, right? And then when I reframed that, luckily it was during a time I had a lot of awareness around energy itself. And what immediately happened was that I could feel where the energy resources were, right? And so that is something that's always available. It's just like, again, it's our perspective or mindset allowing for it. Um, and then, yeah, and then that's how our bodies are built. Like I said, there's, heart math, heart, heart math
Heart Math Institute?
institute,
Yeah,
right?
Heart Math
has actual metrics and all this around these things. So if we're scientifically minded, that's where to go to see where these connections start falling into place. But literally, that's how our bodies are built. Our bodies are built to source energy from the environment, including the sun, which is why we need a certain amount of sun every day, and why we need more as other Native peoples. We need more sun, right? And also from the earth itself. It really is a recharge, which is why grounding works, because it gets rid of the excess bouncy energy, and then it allows us to reset.
Which give the energy back to Mother Earth. And
Yeah, we got to
shift
complete
it,
the
transmute
battery
it.
cycle.
Yes.
Yeah,
So um,
yeah,
there are people who talk about the central shaft of light that we are. And so allowing the energy to flow up and down. Some people think up is better because you're sending, but it really is the loop.
it's both. It's
It's
both.
both, right?
It's always both, and it's a matter of where are we allowing our energy to be. Whenever we are saying one is better, like we are always running into the duality
Right.
problem, which is that if we're only focused on that one, we're not resourcing the other version. And so what I find for most people, again, that I work with, is that we're kind of over resourced on the mental, spiritual side. And then we have the grounding is something we're constantly struggling with, and we're trying to fix it. I mean, all of it's important, but we're trying to fix it in like with food, and we're compensating with like, you know, certain exercises and all this kind of stuff. And it's more, it always starts with energy. Energy is what happens before matter happens. So if you're feeling it, it's because it happened in an energy body a lot sooner. So yeah, my training is like the more and more in-depth training comes from energy codes, and there's a central channel.
Oh,
Central
yeah.
channel.
Yes.
Yeah, and so in the energy codes by Dr. Sue Morter,
Yeah, I know. Too.
she shows the image of how the energy is going both directions all the time, right? And that one that goes down to the earth is actually hits the earth, it goes into the earth and comes back into the body. That energy stream that bounces back out of our own energy resources from the central channel is actually our energy stepped down for earthly activity, right? So if we're not thinking or being aware of our connection to earth the same way we are connected to spirit, right, then we aren't clear right, we aren't clear on what to do, right? And so because this is useful, but if we're not applying it to our 3D bodies, then there's some kind of disconnect. That's where we run into alignment issues, you know.
Yeah.
So
I think it's also the recognition of the feminine energy. Predominantly, it's been the masculine energy, and we need both to be in balance. And so, Mother Earth, it's just, you know, you can say in a patriarchal society, you can see how the feminine energy is where we struggle, because I think there's a growing awareness of not like duality isn't ever going to get us further than we are, that it's really integration and balance that's going to allow us to move further along in our human consciousness evolution, and probably to live longer too, right? If we really
absolutely.
understand that we are energy, matter is moving energy, even though it doesn't feel like it. It's the same thing, right? Like the earth is spinning right now. We're standing on it, right? Like, do we feel like we're going around and around? No. So it's the same thing, absolutely. So I've done work with Eileen McCusick. She's has author of the Electric Body, and with the tuning forks,
Oh
and a
yeah,
lot
I've
of
heard of
it's like
her.
that. Is a lot of it's like that too. Is like with the tuning fork and allowing the whole vibration to go where it wants to go, and feeling into the body, and just see where your body wants to move, and really using that as a tool. So I actually have tuning forks, yeah, so it's been.
Use yeah, so the G one. And I feel like I love the sound healing movement. Love you.
You love what?
And I love the sound healing movement.
Okay.
And I really do, obviously, because I'm in it. Um, uh, and I'm an advocate for voice. Why? Because it's our original instrument.
Right.
Use the tuning fork and sound. When I say sound, I mean the voice, right? So we want to feel the vibration of our own body in resonance to that,
Gotcha.
right? And so that way, even if you are like in a class or something that's using these things, or even a practitioner, you can again be more resourced because you have a sense of what it means to be open and resonant with that sound. And when you breathe in, when it's being done for you and all that, then just you can breathe in and open up where you want to open up, right? And you can be more cooperative, co-creative with that process.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
like you were talking about empaths, or I'm a spiritual counselor now. And so
Oh,
it's
congrats.
it's really important to stay in a space, in a place where you remain open so that guidance can come in. And so you can't really believe the story that people
Mm,
say that they believe, and you hold the truth for them. And so part of that is an exchange of energy, us holding the light that we know them to be, the energy that they're full, 360, rather than sort of
yes.
like in this two-dimensional aspect, but 360, like you were saying. And that's really been a powerful practice, but it's also been this like, oh, well, I don't want to take on all of your emotions. My children are teenagers now, and they, for a long time in doing the work that I've been doing, I really had to learn like not to take that on. Like, oh, I'm upset, I'm sad. Like, it's not my job to take that on. Like, it's actually bad to take that on. It's detrimental to me. But if I can hold the space, the expansiveness,
Yeah.
our body
Well,
has.
and that's the thing, is that we want, as that's just to me another version of healer, like a spiritual
Oh,
counselor is another version of healer. Holding space is another version of healing. Is always happening in healing. And so we want to connect that space to source,
Right.
right? So that, again, we're not resourcing that space personally.
Right.
That's
No.
another thing that happens when we are taking on that emotion. It's just, we recognize it as emotion, but it's energy being taken on, right?
Yes.
And that's why for some people it's hard to discern whether it's yours or somebody else's.
Absolutely.
But if you're firmly connected to your own energy stream and you're clear that this is yours and this is you, when somebody comes in with not that,
Mm-hmm.
then you're not confused as to that, oh, well, they're angry, so I must be angry.
Right. That
Right.
happens a lot with anxiety. Yeah.
And yeah, yeah, tell me about it.
I've been there
Like,
too.
this is the common experience for me. Yeah, like it was my life, especially when I was in Durham. Like I felt like I was in constant anxiety.
It's a different way to live, and I think that people would be kinder and more compassionate and more loving if they didn't always feel like the the scarcity principles, basically, right? Like there's only so much and I can't give because I lose out, when it's
Mm.
actually the opposite. The more you relax into it, the more you allow flow to come in. So it's like reprogramming, though.
It is,
Reprogramming.
because remember, like, because we were just talking earlier about like having those adverse experience, having those trauma experiences, making us, believe that that was our permanent state.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, now I am the person who has this experience or has had, and therefore, right. And so we take it as evidence of our future, but
Yeah,
it is only the truth of the past,
correct.
right?
Which is finished over.
Yeah, and we get to be present to whatever we want next, right? And so, yeah, I feel like we could have this conversation all over the place. We'll talk afterwards, but we're going off a line now.
Okay.
And thank you so much for those who have followed us in this wonderful process and learned a bit about how the voice wants to be our support in our healing. And and yeah, so I'm excited about that, and I hope you are too. And we'll see you on the next one.